From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Don Mitchell. The superintendent of the Peace River School District says the future of a school in a northern BC community shaken by a mass shooting will be shared in the next week. In a letter to families yesterday, the school district said there is an expectation that students will not be returning and that plans will prioritize emotional and physical safety through a trauma-informed lens. BC Premier David Eby promised at a vigil last night that students would have a safe space to learn when classes resumed. Police have said they expect to be finished their investigation this weekend at the home where 18-year-old Jessie Van Rootselaar killed her mother and brother. However, they said the forensic work would take much longer at the school. The minister in charge of Canada-U.S. trade will lead a large delegation to Mexico next week as Ottawa looks to diversify its trade links in response to U.S. tariffs and threats to abandon the Continental Trade Pact. Dominic LeBlanc will join hundreds of delegates representing Canadian businesses, industry associations, and partners from across the country. LeBlanc said in a statement that the mission will build on that strength by deepening collaboration in key sectors and showcasing that Canada has what the world needs. Meanwhile, there were many United States lawmakers who expressed support for the Canada-U.S.-Mexico Agreement on Trade during a Thursday committee hearing. Republican Senator Mike Crapo from Idaho told the Senate Finance Committee that the trade agreement has protected American jobs, strengthened manufacturing, and helped expand the economy. The trade agreement is up for mandatory review this year, but U.S. President Donald Trump has indicated he's in no rush to sign a 16-year extension. Thousands of people in Toronto joined protests in other major cities around the world today, calling for the end to government repression in Iran. It comes as widespread protests inside the Middle East country have been met with violent crackdowns. Protesters draped themselves in red, white, and green flags with a golden lion, which used to be the Iranian banner before the Islamic Republic came to power in 1979. Many are calling for the return of Iran's exiled crown prince, Reza Pahlavi, saying he is the only leader capable of helping Iran eventually transition to a democracy. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump yesterday put pressure on Iran over nuclear talks, saying regime change seems like the best thing that could happen. ABC's Lama Hassan at the foreign desk has the latest.
There are reports that a second round of talks between the U.S. and Iran is scheduled to take place next week. The U.S. wants Iran to stop its uranium enrichment. Iran has so far suggested that it is ready to limit its nuclear program in return for sanctions relief. And in the meantime, the U.S. is ramping up its military assets in the region.
A second U.S. carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, the world's largest warship, is heading to the Middle East, while the USS Abraham Lincoln is already in the region. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Canadian speed skater Laurent Debreuil captured bronze in the men's 500 meters at the Milan Cortina Games. The 33-year-old from Lévis, Quebec, sprinted across the finish line in a short-lived Olympic record time of 34.26 seconds after a false start. United States' Jordan Stoltz won the gold in 33.77 seconds. Canada beat Germany 5-1 in women's hockey in a quarterfinal victory that featured the return of captain Marie-Philippe Poulin to Canada's lineup. Poulin scored for Canada in its first Olympic game against Germany. In tennis, Canada's Victoria Mboko fell in 2 sets to Czechia's Karolina Muchova in the women's final at the Qatar Open. Mboko, who is now 13-4 on the season in singles play, will move into a career-high number 10 on the world rankings. And Toronto Raptors All-Star forward Scotty Barnes will take part in the Shooting Stars event at the NBA's All-Star Game tonight. Barnes will play alongside Oklahoma City forward Chet Holmgren and former NBA champion and Detroit Pistons great Richard Hamilton. From the Canadian Press, I'm Don Mitchell.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.